Hello everyone and welcome to Mitch Maddox. On this tutorial I'm going to show you how to subtract integers using a number line. So it's another way we can think about when we subtract our integers. It's just another visual way to represent it. You may see some similarities and differences between adding integers, but I hope you see those. And it's going to be color coded in this tutorial. So green will represent this problem, blue will represent this, pink will represent this one, and then orange for this one. So let's just talk about a number line. Remember, when I go to my left, that is the negative direction or my negative integers. So if I go to the left, I go to more negative. But if I go to the right, that's my positive direction. So I'm going to higher positive values. So now let's start with A. We're going to start with same sign integers. How do I model those on a visual or on a number line? So I am doing 4 minus 3. So most of us already know this. We have been doing this since elementary school. So what 4 minus 3 is, we all know it's 1. But let's show it on a number line. So I'm going to start my first number 4 because 4 is my first number, and then I'm going to move in the negative direction 3 because I am subtracting 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and so my answer is 1, just like we were talking about. But there actually is a similarity to this problem. If we were thinking of adding integers, there might be a case that's very similar to this. So what if instead I had said 4 plus negative 3? What happens if I'm adding a negative 3 instead of subtracting it? Let's see what happens. So I'm going to do this one in black, so just follow along. So I'm going to start at 4. So again, I'm starting at 4. I'm going to use my black circle. And now I am adding negative 3. And so all it means is when I'm adding a negative number, I'm just going to go to the negative direction. So I'm going to go 3 in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3. It's the same exact problem. Wow, that's really interesting. So this is actually going to be 1 for the answer as well. So these are the same exact equations, but they're just written differently. So basically, taking 3 away from a number is the exact same as adding the opposite, or adding negative 3. So that is a very a good thing to notice when we're adding integers versus subtracting. So you can think of it both ways, and it's good to know both ways. Now let's move on to B. So we're going to do blue instead. We're going to move on to that one. So in this one, we're doing same sign integers, but in this case, we have 2 negative numbers. I have negative 4 minus a negative 3. So my starting point is my negative 4. I'm going to put a little dot there. And now I'm going to move in the negative direction by a negative 3. What direction do I move? I have 2 negatives now. That's interesting. So normally what we do when we subtract, we move in the direction of the number. So it's based on the place value. So normally when I added a positive number like here, we would move in the negative direction. But because it's subtraction, you have to think of the opposite. So because I'm subtracting a negative number, I have to switch my directions. So essentially what that means is I'm starting at negative 4 and I'm subtracting. So normally I would think I'm going to the left direction, so I'm going to go subtraction, but I'm subtracting a negative. So because I'm subtracting a negative, I have to reverse my car if I'm going in a car and go the opposite direction. So basically what I'm saying is subtracting a negative is the same as adding or going in the positive direction. So you can think of like when you're in a car and you're going forward and you have to go in a circle, you're going to brake and you're going to go, and then you're going to turn the opposite direction. So negative minus negative 3. So I'm going to go 3 in this direction, in the positive direction. And my answer will be negative 1. So I just use that analogy to try to help it cement in your mind. But just remember, when I'm subtracting a negative number, I'm not going in the negative direction. I have to go in the positive direction, or I'm reversing, like in a car. So that will be negative 1. Now let's move on to different signs. So this is similar. We're going to start there. I'm going to have to use a different shade of pink because my pink isn't the same color. So in this problem, I have 6 minus negative 3. So I'm going to start at 6. I'm going to put a little pink dot there. And I have to remember, I'm subtracting a negative integer. So normally I go in the negative direction, but I got to remember I got to stop, and then I got to turn around and go in positive direction. So you got to make sure to go the opposite direction when you're subtracting. So if I'm going negative, if I'm subtracting a negative number, I go positive. Just remember that. So I'm going to go 3 in the positive direction. And that will be equal to a positive 9. Lastly, negative 6 minus 3. So in this one, we're going to do the same. We're going to start at negative 6 all the way here on my number line. I'm going to label it. And now I'm going to subtract a 3. I'm only subtracting a positive 3, so I'm just going to follow the normal directions. So because I'm subtracting 3, I'm going to go in my negative direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I'm at negative 9. So make sure you know these key rules when you're subtracting on a number line. If I am ever subtracting a negative number, again, I'm subtracting a negative integer, I always have to go in the opposite direction or the positive direction. Whenever I am subtracting a positive integer like negative 6 minus 3, I always have to go in the negative direction. And then if I am adding, like we were doing in our addition, like here, 4 plus negative 3, it obviously depends on the sign. So again, 4 plus negative 3, I would move in the negative direction, but let's say instead this was, let me do purple. But if I had said if it was 4 plus 3, I would just move in the positive direction. So just be very careful about those, and I hope this helped you out, and best of luck on your work. Have a wonderful day.